already a degradation in mental health. So this number comes to be 72, maybe to be, if we focused on mental health outside the workplace and we focused on, on making ourselves better and doing the right things for mental health, I'm going to be real provocative. I'm going to bet that number would go down.
So I read this article, Rob, end of September, and I know I forwarded it to you.
Yeah.
And it's titled 72% of applicants say job hunting harmed their mental health. I mean, it's not really to laugh about, but it's horrifying, frankly.
Yeah.
And this company interviewed about 1,000 US-based active job seekers in early August of this year. Now, what they don't say, what many of these surveys don't say, of course, is active job seekers, like in what areas, right? Were they low-level employees, mid-level, high-level? Like, what were they? And I think that could potentially shed some more light on this. But here's a couple of the high points. 24% said the job search always negatively impacts them. 31% said it negatively affects them more now than it did in the past. 17% say the job search hasn't negatively affected them in the past, but does now. And 28% said it's never affected their mental health, which I find kind of interesting, and we'll talk about some of the other things. They talked about job search frustrations,
right?
How 48% of job seekers are lying, admitted to lying or considered lying on their resumes.
Right.
14% admitted to flat out lying, and 15% saying they've made white lies or minor exaggerations. And I don't think that part is even, from going back to our days in court, right? That is not probably terribly uncommon that people embellish a little bit, right?
Sure.
And then they talk about AI and difficulties for Gen Zs finding work. We can talk about some of that stuff. But, for somebody who started in headhunting in 1992, yes, long ago.
Yeah.
And of course, learned the craft, got really great at the craft. This is really disturbing. And I have to wonder, well, I don't, partially, I believe I know what is at fault here. I have to wonder, partially, I think I have an idea what this is about, and it's about how companies are recruiting now and how it's really getting worse. And are Gen Zs even prepared for difficult times?
Well, yeah. I mean, those are all extremely valid points. And I want to go back to the beginning. We kind of chuckled, but we weren't laughing at them. We were sort of laughing with them because we've been there. I've been there. So I was kind of reminiscing as you were reading it, saying, "Oh, I can remember that." I was kind of, So I want to make sure we go on record saying we're certainly not laughing at this issue, because this is a real deal. This is a real deal, and I think, we have a chance to have a forum like this every month, and I don't think there's a month that goes by that we don't talk about something that is related to mental health, and it is rampant right now. And I remember speaking about the pandemic and having it be, obviously that was a health pandemic and a physical health pandemic, and it turned into a mental health pandemic. I believe that we are in a mental health pandemic right now. That's my opinion, and the listeners can agree or not agree, but I believe that we are in a mental health pandemic, and it's worldwide, and it's affecting everybody, all ages, all generations. So I looked at those stats. I actually chuckled because I just retired in January of this year, right? And I'm thinking, hey, do I want to get back in the game? Or if somebody calls me up, somebody I know that I respect and trust, and hey, Rob, come on and do X, Y, Z. Would I go? Would I go through that whole process again of onboarding and interviewing with the whole, the executive team, and do I fit in the culture, and do I have the right color in the psychological profile, and and just talking about it, I'm getting PTSD, right? Because I remember all of that, doing that, and when we first started, years and years ago, I mean, we're talking 4 decades ago, it was, we were we would get hired by our friends, or I would use a headhunter like yourself. And,
Yeah.
I would go in for 1 or 2 interviews, or I'd know the person, or,
Yep.
hey, I'm joining this company. Come on over. I want you to head up sales. Great. No interview. Boom. These days, so much is happening and it's so complex that, it's not an easy game anymore. And I think that your mindset going into it will dictate whether you fall into this category of harming your mental health.
Yeah.
It's a mindset thing. It's, you've got to define it differently. You've got to have a different mindset. But I feel for everybody that's going through an interview process. I was talking to somebody recently that told me their process, and I mean, I was halfway through the story. I'm shaking for them because it was just brutal, and most of which didn't make any sense, because what we need to hire for is culture. We need to hire for skill and merit. And those are the things that we need to focus on.
Yeah.
And so that's my take on this. I feel it. And I feel bad for people coming up right now. And we talked about the AI, right? AI interviews and the avatar, and what's going on there. I mean, talk about increasing your stress level. You want to increase your stress level and have cortisol go through your body heavy. Have an avatar interview you. Holy shit.
Right. Everyone we talked about. It's horrifying. It really is.
You got to be freaking kidding me. I mean, I wouldn't even do it. I'd hang up. Right. So,
yeah.
But I think you had a really good point. I'll let you go from here. You had a good point that, again, we do a lot of these articles. We see a lot of these sound bites. What we don't know is what jobs are they talking about?
That's right.
Because we come from a different slant. I come from a different slant than maybe these jobs are. I don't know. I no idea.
Yeah. I think, Rob, that as I read these types of things, specifically this one, this is not uncommon. I've seen someone say, "Oh, I was head of corporate recruiting for XYZ, company, and hired 500 people over my tenure there." And my first question is, yeah, how many of them lasted more than 2 years?
What a great question. Yeah.
Right. Or
1 year.
or even 1 year.
Yeah,
right.
Right.
Because nobody ever tells you where that information is coming from. Right. So, and I don't want to negate that they surveyed 1,000 people, 1,000 job seekers, but it would, for me, it would be far more valuable to hear, we interviewed 1,000 job seekers, 25% of them were at this level, 50% of them were at this level, 5% of them were at this level, something like that, to get a sense, right? Is this happening at the higher levels that you and I would be normally dealing with? Right. But people are saying that AI is becoming a concern. We've talked a great deal. You and I have talked a great deal about this on the show.
Yeah, we do.
And it says 38% of job seekers believe AI will reduce their workload. I mean, really? Do you really think that's true?
Yeah.
I think that's a pipe dream.
Yeah. I mean, there are sub jobs, Carol, that might happen, and I think that we have to be prepared for that. And I know I've said it again, the soundbite exists somewhere, that we have to learn how to coexist with AI to be successful. As humans, we also need to know how to use AI. We talked about putting garbage into that, and then all of a sudden you're in a bad place, and your image is out there, and you got to be careful. And I think that that's what we're kind of seeing here is it's a broad statement. It's a very broad statement, and we got to be careful, But I will tell you that I'm not surprised about the 72% harming mental health. Because I don't think it may not even be that one issue. I think they come to the party already with degraded mental health because of other things that are going on, the social media, what's happening in the world, the news, anything they're doing to hype up, their cortisol and fight or flight, right? So they come to it. They show up with already a degradation in mental health. So this number comes to be 72. Maybe to be, if we focused on mental health outside the workplace, and we focused on, on making ourselves better and doing the right things for mental health, I'm going to be real provocative. I'm going to bet that number would go down.
Well, I'm sure you're right. Right. But I hesitate to say that the focus, because I know you don't like to talk about politics, but politicians are out there saying, well, it's not the gun's fault, it's mental health, but they're doing nothing for mental health.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just a fact, Rob.
Oh, it is. It
right?
is. And you're right. I mean, I
don't think it's any particular party. I think it's all of them, frankly. So
yeah. I mean, that's a fair statement. And you're right. I go overboard not to be political, especially in the public eye.
Yeah.
But the reality is that's not even a political statement in my eyes, right? That's a mental health statement. And,
right.
And I appreciate that you said that, Carol. And I think that it doesn't matter left, right, center. The issue is that we don't have the right services upstream. You know what I mean? Like upstream. We pretend we have the services, but the reality is we haven't actually gone into the communities. We haven't actually gone in and funded those kinds of things to make a major impact. There's just it's a game of catch up, and we'll never catch up because it's rampant, right?
So
that's
they talked a little bit about, because I said I believe a big part of the problem is the people who are doing this recruiting, quote, so-called recruiting, right, for companies.
Yeah, that must have been nice.
I've got a friend. I trained him 25 years ago. Fabulous agency recruiter. He went inside a number of years ago. I can't remember why he did that. He had a young family, wanted insurance, and all this other stuff, right? And he just got laid off from a well-known company. I won't mention who it is here. And I thought to myself, how stupid are you people to lay off somebody with this? I mean, he's a professional headhunter. Why would you let him go? Instead of, Susie 20-something who isn't actually a recruiter or doesn't know what they're doing.
Right. Oh, never
because
done it
he's
before.
more expensive.
Right.
It's foolish, right? I'm thinking about bringing him into my company, in fact. To do some fractional work for us. But, they talked about the top methods for landing an interview. And again, let's not forget we're talking about Gen Z here, right? So we're not talking about, our, boomers and X's. 40% of job seekers landed interviews from applying to companies using search engines, LinkedIn, Indeed, Glassdoor. 40%. I thought, wow, what kind of jobs are these? Again, 35% applying directly through websites, companies' websites. 34% word of mouth and personal connections. That's good to land interviews. 30% reached out via email or phone to hiring managers directly. Bravo. That's one of the things, when I work with coaching clients around career, that's one of the things I tell them to do. And I talk them through exactly how to go about doing that.
Right.
Right. 26% secured interviews from attending job fairs. And I have to think those are pretty low level jobs because who does job fairs, right? Somebody does, they're looking for somebody right out of college. And then 1 in 5 Gen Z job seekers, or 20% found jobs from TikTok. I thought, you got to be kidding me. So, that leads me to believe these are fairly low-level jobs that don't require a whole lot of training.
Yeah, that's probably true. And that TikTok thing is really coming up. It's actually, it's going to be increasing and more. Any kind of learning that I do or any kind of sound bites, I'm very mindful of the fact that, I got to speak in 30-second sound bites or else I'm not going to get my point across, and that's just the way it is right now.
Yeah. And I don't know how to speak in 30-second sound bites. I have to tell you.
You really got to
which is probably the reason I don't work with those kinds of people. Right. So, but the other thing, aside from how companies are improperly, quote, recruiting, using, again, the post and pray method.
Yeah.
Which is posting jobs and so on. That, this probably overwhelms untrained recruiters yet even more.
Yeah.
Right. So how can you expect to provide a good interview experience to your candidates? And let's not forget that, those people, once you screw them, they're never going to consider you again. Never.
No.
Right. And here's what I want to know. Is that information getting up to the CEO, the CXO level?
Yeah.
Like, do they even realize this is going on in their companies?
Yeah. I mean, I highly doubt it. I
highly doubt it, especially if you've got human resources running your talent program.
That's right. That's right.
Right.
That's right. Yeah.
So, and the other thing is how well are these kids even mentally prepared for real life? I think we've talked a little bit about this. Has Gen Z just coddled their children too much?
Yeah. Yeah. That's a big issue.
Were they? I don't even think gentle parenting was around then, but God help all these poor kids who've been gentle parented now.
Well, and the numbers definitely will show in this study, for example, the boomers, almost half of them said it didn't affect their mental health, right? So I think that, the boomers have developed a certain amount of resilience through the years of dealing with life, and life as it comes at you. Yeah. So I think that could be, a really good factor in all these numbers that we're seeing here, that it doesn't surprise me that, Gen Z and millennial, and then, they're all higher. And then as you go further up, I could obviously do a job search right now. I could go for a job right now. I wouldn't say that it would be detrimental to my mental health. Would I be pissed off sometimes? Sure. Would I be frustrated sometimes? Yes. It's because it's different than I'm used to as it changes now. Right. But I don't think it would affect my mental health. Yeah. But if you're coming up the ranks and you're a young kid, or it's your third job, second job, and you're still trying to find your why and what you're going to do and where you are and who you are, I could see that, an arduous process could really affect your mental health and your state and what state you're in, and that's why I'm on the bandwagon to really help, to help that generation and all generations, but especially that generation, figure out how to manage their state. So when they go into these situations, they don't become one of these stats. And they thrive. They don't just survive the interview; they thrive. So there is a way to do it. There is an absolute way to do it, and you can in fact thrive if you have the right tools and you use them. Yeah.
Yeah. I will say also that this lying resume lies is really distressing. 31% lied to cover gaps in employment. Now, I will tell you that isn't new. That's been going on since I was in business in the early years. And I'm sure before I even started in that business 32 years ago. Right. Yeah. And it takes a well-trained headhunter to really fish that stuff out. 30% exaggerated length of time they're employed. These are all things if somebody really knows the things that I know and other people that like me know can find out. 30% inflated their job title. Well, that's easy to figure out. Yeah. How many times did I get something with a title district manager? Now, before I knew anything, I thought that meant they were actually a manager. But of course, once I got trained, I realized it's probably just a title. How many direct reports do you have? Oh, none? Okay, so it's just a title. 24% embellished job responsibilities or technical skills. Yeah. And 24% lied about their education credentials. These are pretty much all things that anybody who knows the things that I know can find out about somebody. But here's what I'm concerned about, that they have these internal recruiters who don't know how to do that. Yeah. And even if they do, does that person have time to do it? Or do they have so many job recs on their desk that they just, they cross their fingers and hold their breath?
Yeah. I mean, we see that, right? We see the number of applicants through the roof for the number of jobs there are. People are jumping every year. They're just trying to find that next shiny object. And but that goes back to what we talk about here often is that, do we have an engaged culture, from the top, and that's all these numbers sort of, they compile, but, we never talk about the big elephant in the room, which is, what kind of culture are they being hired into? Exactly. Is it a culture that they were told? And is it actually the culture? We praise in public and we coach in private. That's a great, obviously, servant leadership principle. And then you get there and all of a sudden the manager calls you out in a meeting with 30 of your peers. That's a problem. Yeah. Yeah. That's a problem. It's interesting. It is a problem. And, I'll tell you a quick story. As you know, I run 2 executive roundtables for
founders and CEOs a month, primarily. Occasionally I get a different CXO, but mostly founders and CEOs join. And, the topic is really around engagement, communication, and at the executive level, how much are you taking on that's taking your time rather than being able to actually have a leadership culture in your organization. And I recently got a response from someone who said, yeah, that's just not a priority for us right now. And I just shook my head and I thought, good luck with your company, pal.
Right.
Because that's not a priority for you.
Right. I mean, I get it too, right? I get people that, want me to speak on the culture. They want me to speak on how do we get an engaged culture? How do we, how do we exemplify servant leader principles? And then, we get on the path and then, a lot of times they'll switch and they'll say, well, our CRO really wants us to focus on the operational cadence and excellence and really focus on the forecasting or focus on the process and that's great. But you need both.
Yes. Well, exactly.
Yeah.
So what do you think the net is here of this?
I think it's how you come into the situation. I think it is how you take care of yourself and what state you get yourself in as you go through the process of finding a job.
Right.
And I think that your mental health is just what I said. It's yours. You own it. And you have got to look for and seek out the tools in order to be able to not just survive this process, but thrive.
Yeah.
And I really do think that, the issue, all these numbers would change and get, and go up and down prospectively if you were in a good, solid mental health state of mind. So I believe that's my passion in life. That's what I spread for anytime I get a microphone. Please just take care of yourself and get into, it's your mental health and it's something you really need to focus on. And then all these numbers really don't matter. You're ready for the interview and whatever they throw at you, you've got the resilience, you've got the skills and you just go with it. You go with it and you get the job.
Yeah. Well, and I think for me, partly the net as I'm listening to this, it's reminding me of, when I started the business, when I started in the search business 32 years ago. And I was prepared to get a lot of no and a lot of hangups. Now, did they feel good? Hell no. Did they affect my mental state in some way? Yeah, I think they probably did. I mean, it's hard, but it's to your point, building that resilience on, what do you say? The more no's you get you closer to a yes.
Right. Yeah, but that's a mindset too, right? That's, and we know people that are coming up the ranks. I say it all the time. Their biggest question is, when can I be a leader? Not how can I be a leader? And I tell them that all the time, change that language. It's okay. It's okay to think like, hey, when can I do this? When can I do this? But when you're talking to the outside voice, you want to have that growth mindset language. So you want to know, how can I become a leader? What do I need to do?
That's right.
And, and it's okay to be, like a duck on a pond, right? Nice and calm. How do I do this? And underneath the water, you're going, but I really want it. When am I going to do it? I really want it. So,
right.
That's fine.
Laughing
that's fine.
Yeah, right.
Why won't they get me the job? And,
right.
It's okay to feel that, but don't put that out there. What you want to put out there is the growth mindset language.
Exactly.
That's how
and you know what? Things happen for a reason. Maybe this just wasn't meant to be. Sometimes it's hard to say that. It is.
Yeah.
But, you just got to keep going. Because that's the only way you're going to get anywhere. If you give up and put your head under the, under the pillow or under the blankets, that's not going to do anything for you either. I mean, maybe you do that for 10 minutes and just get over it.
Yeah. I have the 90-second rule where I can be pissed off and then I'm done.
Yeah. But, I mean, that's really important.
It is. It is important. And it is, and I think the most important quote that I've heard, from the big guy is life is happening for you, not to you.
That's right. That's exactly correct.
And that's a great way to end it.
Yep. Sounds good. All right, Rob, good talking with you.
Good to see you, Carol. I hope everybody enjoys the episode.
Thanks for listening to Authentically Successful After Hours. I'm your host, Carol Schultz.
And I'm your co-host, Rob Swymer. Hey, don't forget to click follow to hear more. And please leave us an honest review and rating so we can continue to improve and bring you more great stories.
Thanks again for listening, and see you next time.